Maybe we should do a podcast on our favorite comedians instead of our
Right?
favorite music.
And we're back after that short commercial break of 1 week. Welcome to another episode of Bearded Bible Brothers. I am your ridiculous host, Matt, joined by Josiah Marshall. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm ridiculous too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't like taking the crown on that one, but so we're starting lightheartedly, folks, because today is a standalone episode to help you get to know us, and we're just going to have a ridiculous and fun conversation about so far we've done some of our favorite books. We've certainly not exhausted that category. We did a bizarro episode on celebrity crushes. And so today we're going to talk some of our
I'm still waiting to hear
comedians.
back from Chris Hemsworth about what you said.
Yeah, I don't know that we're viral enough that he's ever even going to find our podcast.
Probably not.
I'm not sure that that's like a 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon type scenario. I don't think he'll ever find Bearded Bible Brothers.
True. But I interrupted your introduction. Please tell everyone what we're going to talk about today.
That's okay. We're lighthearted on this one. Today we're doing comedians, some of our favorite comics. I think we're going to try and keep it to the clean ones. And yeah, with some of our favorite jokes that they do and stuff like that. So why don't you start us off? What are some of your favorite comedic moments or favorite comedians?
Oh, comedic moment. Ooh, that actually brings up a memory. That brings up a memory. We were in a van driving down the highway. It was kind of late.
So who is we? You and all your clown friends, or?
Might as well been. It's actually my extended family. So it was my dad, my mom, all of my siblings, and I think we had a couple of friends in the van. I can't quite remember, but anyways. So me and my brother, he's sitting in the very back of this 15-passenger van, and I'm sitting in the seat right in front of the back end. And my brother starts making up this joke on the spot. And it was so funny. And it had me laughing so hard that I had to speak up and said, "Hey, Dad, yeah, can you pull over?" Why? I need to change my clothes. No, you don't. Yeah, I do.
Oh, it wasn't even can we pull over? I'm about to pee myself. It was hey Dad, we need cleanup on aisle 2.
It was so embarrassing. I was probably 13 years old, and here I am. I'm going,
my gosh.
Man, what am I, 5? So that was one of the best comedic moments that I can remember, especially with my brother telling jokes. I could relay so many more, but that would take up our entire time, because me and my brother Benjamin, we did some of the most craziest stuff. But then again, I guess that's coming from a family where it's hard to rebel when your dad wants to do everything with you, such as give you 20 pounds of black powder for Christmas.
Oh, that's glorious. Horrifying, but glorious.
Right? But if anything, the stories I could tell, I think, would be along the lines of one of my favorite comedians, Gabriel the Fluffy Iglesias.
Yes. Yes.
I love his stories. Oh, his stories. It's just so much fun.
What's one of the first ones that pops into your head?
Oh, that's easy. The words in Hawaiian. In Hawaiian.
I don't know that I've seen that one.
Okay, so it's his special, excuse me, special in Hawaii, and he starts off the entire bit with him talking about how you know if you're on a real luau experience, and then he'll talk about the Hawaiian words. Oh, it is just so funny. Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. And I went to Hawaii recently, in fact, just a few months ago, and it was my 50th state. So woohoo, got them all.
Nice.
And so I'm there, and I kept expecting to hear somebody say "shoots," Roger that, and I'm not hearing it from anybody.
Okay,
at
that just went
all.
way over my head. I don't know what that's a reference to.
Okay, so for reference, Fluffy is sitting with a friend of his. He says, "Okay, can you explain some of these words to me because I'm not really quite getting it. What does shoots mean?" "Oh, shoots means yes." "Oh, okay. So if I'm going to go to the store and I ask, hey, you want a drink?" You'll say shoots. And he goes, "Roger that." "Okay, Roger that. What does that mean?" "It also means yes." "Well, can you give me a difference? What can you give me a description here?" "Yeah, yeah, sure." "Hey, Marv, you want to go to the bar?" "Shoots." And hey, Marv, you want to go surfing? Even more exciting? "Roger that." So it's even a more emphatic yes.
Ah. All right.
So it's a good one.
But
I
you didn't
like
hear
that
that
one.
when you were in Hawaii.
No, I never did. I didn't hear it once.
Hmm.
Not a single time. But we did go on a luau experience. And according to him, there's a bus that takes you from the hotel to the luau. But we took our own car. We weren't staying at a hotel. So
Oh.
we didn't get the bus experience because the bus experience he does is kind of funny too. But one of the other stories that jumps out at me from him, let's see. Oh, there's a few. But having worked for two police departments, I was support staff. Um, uh, and the joke where he pulls out of Krispy Kreme,
Yes.
does the illegal left or right hand turn, something like that, gets pulled over, and the guy comes up and he's playing with the donuts as if he's kind of making romantic donut love to them, and he finally just can't wait any longer. He grabs the box, puts it in his lap, and he starts going to town on the donut. And the police officer walks up. "You know why I pulled you over, right? Because you could smell it."
Yes. Yep. And then if I remember right, he gives him the box of donuts and gets off without a ticket.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. And then there's the other one where he pulls up in front of Martin's house and
Yes.
he's honking and hey, what? How'd you get in there? I say.
Yeah, because he's driving a
CWW.
Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah. And then when he comes back, he's got everything in it. And he's revving the engine. He's got the new chip, and he's really souped up the car. And he's going, and the guy's back behind him going, "Hey!" He goes, "Not listening." "Hey!" And then finally he goes, "What?" "Hey, it's the Fat and the Furious."
Yes, I remember that one. Oh man.
There's nothing like a good laugh.
Yep. That is super true.
All right, let's hear one of yours. Comedic event or comedy? Comedian.
I and my whole family really, really like Tim Hawkins.
Mm, mm.
And he's so funny. And he's quite a musician. And
Oh
so he
yeah,
does a lot of parody
yeah.
songs.
Right. I've
We
heard
really
those. Those
like
are
the
hysterical.
Oh yeah. We really like the bit that he did about when he talks about the existence of the atheist megachurches. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Honestly, I
so
haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff. I've seen the parody stuff, seen a little bit of his kind of stand-up stuff, but we really didn't have a lot of access to that, which is kind of ironic considering how evangelical my family were when we were growing up.
yeah.
We did not have that as much.
Well,
But
he
go
starts
ahead.
postulating what songs they might sing in the atheist megachurch, like "Shout to the Void, all you were."
Oh no.
Um, and um, and then he goes into children's church. No one loves the little children, all the children of the world. No one hears you when you cry. No one hears your lullaby. No.
Oh no.
And then my favorite one is I apologize, audience. I am not a singer, but here we go. He goes, I am an A, I am an AT, I am an ATHEIST, and I have NOTHING to give me hope and certainty. And when I DIE, I will be ALONE.
Wow.
So funny.
Oh, that is so funny. Oh man.
And then he does one.
I need to look
He
into this
does
stuff.
the song. I don't remember the band, but Hey There, Delilah. He
Okay.
turns it into like a breakup song between Samson and Delilah. Oh, it's absolutely phenomenal. Oh. And it starts, "Hey there, Delilah. This is your ex-boyfriend, Samson." So good.
You know what?
So
I'm
good.
actually going to look up right now. I'm in the middle of us recording. I'm going to look up and see if I can find Tim Hawkins albums. Has he made albums of his music?
I don't know. He's done the sound of silence. He did a parody called The Sounds of Starbucks.
Oh no.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh
And
man,
the
that
music
sounds
video
funny.
for that is really good too because he's got all these fake piercings. And if you notice, like in the first shot of his face, he's got them like I don't remember exactly where, but like all on his eyebrows. And then the next shot of his face, they've moved. And like there's one in his nose and two in his lip. And then the next shot, they've moved again. The piercings keep moving around his face throughout the video. Super funny.
Oh, that sounds like a blast. I did find actually one of his stand up specials, Extremely Makeover from 2004. So I'll have to listen to that. But
Okay.
looking this up reminded me because I couldn't remember the name of a guy. He performed at a Liberty University convocation, and he was just so funny. I've heard the Christian comedians, they can be very clean, and yet sometimes the jokes can fall just a little short. But Bob Smiley,
Oh yeah.
he made me laugh so hard. And some of the stuff he said was like, wow, he just said it. You could almost hear the gasp of the audience at Liberty University.
Are we allowed to laugh at that? Is that okay? They haven't actually handed us our diploma yet.
You know, it's amazing to think that what's happened in that, at least that I know of, that's happened in that stadium at Liberty University. You got a guy like Bob Smiley standing up and telling jokes and almost talking smack. And then you get Jordan Peterson sitting down with a group of leaders from the university and having a very deep conversation. And then that student rushes the stage begging for help. It's like, wow, the things that building has seen. Yeah. Oh man. But John Christ, is that his full name?
Uh-huh.
I saw one of his skits, and I think it was about the disciples. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a while ago, so I don't remember a whole lot of it. Did you see it? Do you know about this skit? But you've seen or heard. Okay, but you've seen some of his other stuff.
Yeah.
So how funny is he for you? On what scale would we use to rate?
He's pretty good.
Okay.
He, in my opinion, he's not as funny as Tim Hawkins, but so before COVID, Tim Hawkins did a podcast with his road crew that they would record after shows on the bus driving to their next city. And the podcast is, I think it's still running, but it's changed and stuff. But if you listen to it, go back to those older episodes because they're hysterical. The podcast is called Potty Break.
Oh, no.
And at one of them, John Christ is on the bus with them, and it's absolutely hysterical. And John Christ, talking to Tim Hawkins and his road crew, recounts a story where he's I don't remember exactly how it goes. I'm probably going to butcher it, but he's in this hotel room and he's forgotten a bunch of his stuff, like his toiletries bag, or it got lost or something like that. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm totally going to butcher the story, but so he had called down to room service or something, and they were taking a long time. For some reason, he goes ahead and gets in the shower and is trying to make do with the tiny little bottles of soap. And while
Okay.
he's in the shower, somebody comes and knocks on the door,
Okay.
and he yells out from the shower without necessarily thinking about the word choice that he uses. And
Uh-oh.
he ends up shouting to whomever is on the other side of the door, "I'm doing things to my body." Like he couldn't have found any other way to say that. Like
Oh
he said, "I was trying to just communicate. I'm trying to get clean on this little tiny bar of soap." But it's like, oh dear. And
no. Oh
Tim
me.
Tim starts razzing him so hard. It was hilarious. It was so funny.
So I found the podcast. They renamed it the Tim Hawkins podcast, and one of the earlier episodes is actually entitled Bob. It's the 5th episode. Bob Smiley, Frugality, Clydesdales, and Coughing Pomeranians. And the description says that in this episode, Tim and Bob talk beach body workouts, marrying catch-ups, and how to get free tube socks on the road. Bob gets a deal on a $12 microphone and fashions his own shower curtain rings. Also, Tim's son, Levi Hawkins, channels his inner, quote, rich kid.
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm gonna save that right now. This sounds hysterical.
It's good, hilarious, ridiculous, and punchy because it's after a show. They're all tired. You would assume that if they weren't actively recording, everybody but the bus driver would be asleep, but instead they're up and they're just making fun of each other, and it's really fun.
That reminds me of a bit that Fluffy did on his bus driver, and how his bus driver would just gives him grief too. There was one point where they're sitting on the bus. Well, him and Martine are sitting on the couch watching TV, and it's talking about a previous president wanting to build a wall between the United States and Mexico. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about the wall, and he said, yeah, I can make a wall too. And he starts closing the partition between the driver and the rest of the bus. And then he texted Fluffy with the statement of, "And you're paying for it." There's more to the story that even makes it more hysterical. I was like, wow. But he says this guy has never done wrong by me. He's always there exactly when I need him, where I need him. He's a hard worker, but he just says it like it is.
That's so funny.
Apparently he got the job with Fluffy because he used to work for some big country star, I don't know who, and basically pulled the bus over and kicked the country star off of his own bus.
Oh snap.
So he lost his job, and that's when Fluffy grabbed him, and he's had him for years. So whenever he's on the continent, that's who he uses as his driver. But oh man,
wow!
My wife saw. So back to John Crist. My wife actually saw him in a comedy bar of all places, Jordan Landing in West Jordan, Utah. And it's just one of the most random, weird places. Like, John Crist, what? Well,
random and obscure.
I know, right? But one of the things that Utahns love so much is comedy, but especially clean comedy.
Sure.
Brian Regan has probably been hailed the #1 comedian for Utah. He will come here with maybe, say, 3 shows planned. but he's learned to keep as much as 2 weeks to 3 weeks open in his schedule before the next one, because then he'll start adding shows. He will sell out every show here in Utah.
So he just does like 2 weeks lapping through Utah.
No, actually, he will stay in Salt Lake City. He will just plant himself in Salt Lake City, and he's learned to plant himself there. He'll have 3 shows scheduled over one weekend, but he's learned that before to space his visit from Salt Lake City to his next location to be at least 2 to 3 weeks, because he'll just start selling out more and more shows.
Wow.
So he'll just start adding them to the roster. Okay, let's take a break. Okay, now we'll do 2 today. And then those 2 will sell out completely. But the other bit of comedy that's really taken Utah by storm is dry comedy.
Oh, like dry bar?
Yeah, dry bar. Yep. And it's huge. There's a big dry bar place down in Provo. And so if you're ever on YouTube and you're watching the dry bar, those clips are from Provo.
Huh.
Now I'm using that as kind of a segue, and no, I'm not referring to the mall cop, although I still need to see that. What is his name? Fred Klatt. That's right. Fred Klatt. You ever heard of him?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
So I was first introduced to him through my grandmother, and Matt is going to be reminded that he has heard of Fred Klatt in just a moment.
Okay.
And so my grandmother went on a cruise. She heard Fred, bought his live DVD, brought it home, showed it to all of us. We're laughing. He comes from this huge family. And so lo and behold, last year I got to go down and hang out with my favorite best friend, Matt Crosswhite. And I got to show him the very video on YouTube of Fred Klatt even telling the story of jumping off the roof with umbrellas, trying to be Mary Poppins. And the last one drops, and his dad walks out there, and he's talking to each one of them. Well, why did you all jump? And then he asked the last one, well, why did you jump? Well, I just didn't think they did it right.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh my gosh.
I need to see that one again. I should. Oh, there's one to show the kids.
No, it'll give Joel ideas. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's true. I don't want him jumping off the roof.
Or it'll be a cautionary tale. I mean, he is a young boy, a young man. He probably has had the idea. You could just show him that and say, it's not a good idea. Here, watch this.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the function of America's Funniest Home Videos, is to teach your kids what not to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's plenty of videos for that. Oh, vey. Okay, let's see. Just off the top of my head, don't jump off of a roof into a swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't jump off the roof into a bank of snow.
Don't jump off the roof.
Don't jump off the roof, period. I actually had a buddy jump off the roof into a bank of snow, and he's fine. He's not hurt. He gets out, and then one of his legs stops working. He'd broken his leg and didn't know it.
Oh, that's not okay. Not okay.
No, it's not. It's like, really? Come on. But oh man, I've got so many comedians coming through my head. So let's talk about the one we were talking about before we started this. Jeff. Oh no, excuse me, Jeff Dunham.
Yes, Jeff Dunham is hilarious.
Yes, he is.
So for anybody not familiar, he's a ventriloquist who has multiple different puppets. So Josiah, which one is your favorite puppet?
Oh man, they're all good. I really like. So I like. Let's see. Let me talk through this. I like the banter between Peanut and a jalapeno on a stick.
Yes, when he has both of them up at the same time.
Yeah, oh boy, yeah. Let's see. You got Bubba J. Yeah, he's fun. Ahmed, he's fun. You know what? I'm gonna go with Walter.
I knew you were gonna say Walter. I knew you
Why
would.
is that?
Because you're the kind of guy that just would laugh at crotchety old men. That is so you. I totally see that. Yep.
Me, yeah, I guess that's me.
But I also think that's going to prevent you from becoming a crotchety old man. So well done.
Yeah, probably. I remember watching one time with my wife, and it was the arguing with myself. So it was his very first special. And come to find out later, I actually watched an interview with Jeff, and almost most of the people in the audience were actually his neighbors.
Really?
Yeah. So when he, like the guy with the medical transportation,
yeah,
he didn't realize until after the show that was my neighbor from down the street. He's like, oh boy, what did I get myself into now?
Right.
But Walter's sitting there and doing all this, and my wife is not one to laugh. But there was one bit that Walter said that was kind of funny. And that, talking about old people making love, and the question of, is that good for you? Who are you?
Oh, jeez.
And my wife, she nearly fell over laughing. And she said, for some reason, I can picture you saying that in years to come. I was like,
oh my gosh.
Oh man, I'm gonna cough up a lung with all this laughing. Oh man. But
so I'm gonna tell a quick story and then we'll come back to Jeff Dunham. But
please.
Speaking of a phrase that we will use in years to come, did you see the movie came out 4 or 5 years ago, I think? Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Oh yes, I saw that. I used to enjoy Rocky and Bullwinkle a lot growing up.
Oh, sure. But in that movie, at one point they go back in time to Leonardo da Vinci and he's painting Mona Lisa, and Mr. Peabody tries to do something to make Mona Lisa actually smile and laugh.
Oh,
and
no.
So Mr. Peabody is talking about how it's statistically and scientifically proven that when you see someone fall on their face, you laugh and all this. And so he's explaining it all. And he goes, so observe. And he just falls flat on his face. Doesn't put his arms out to try and break his fall. Doesn't do anything. And he's just laying there. And his little tail starts wagging. And face into the ground, he goes, is everyone amused?
Oh, I remember that.
And it was only at that point where he says, is everybody amused, that my wife starts guffawing. And so now, whenever I drop a dad joke and she just rolls her eyes at me, I look at her and I get like my little my I'm so clever smile. And I look at her and go, is everyone amused? And then she starts laughing.
So that, I've heard you say that phrase. Now I get it.
Now you get it. The dad joke itself isn't funny in her opinion. I think it's hilarious. That's why I said it. But
right.
But it's when I say, is everyone amused, that she starts busting up.
Oh, that is so funny. Okay, we'll get back to Jeff Dunham, but there's one thing that you and I really connected over. I'm going to start it and you finish it.
Oh,
I got you full of basic food groups.
Beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard. Yes, from the movie Atlantis.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. And I still think it's hysterical about who's actually voicing that character. It's Jim Varney, who did the voice of Slinky on Toy Story, but also was the guy that came up with the character Ernest P. Worrell and all of the Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Goes to School, Ernest Goes to the Army, and so on. All those movies back from the 80s and 90s. And
gosh, I could not sit through those. Those were not funny, in my opinion. Those were painful to watch.
I guess it was because of our conditioning growing up of the very limited things we were allowed to watch, that those things were actually entertaining for me and my siblings until we got older and got more familiar, let's say, with other things on television and found, okay, it's not as funny as we thought, but it still gives us, for me at least, it still has that nostalgic feel sometimes.
Yeah, more nostalgia than true
Yeah,
comedy, but that's whatever.
right,
Whatever
right,
works.
right. It's just it's basically the early days of Dumb and Dumber without Dumber.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a decent way of explaining it.
Yeah, and tends to be a lot more cleaner too. But so back to Jeff Fafa.
So your
Which
favorite
one?
is Walter.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Um, I think I like all of the puppets. But I think I gotta go with Peanut because I just love the ADHD.
Uh-huh.
I love that he doesn't take Jeff seriously at all. That
Uh-huh.
he's just like he's like a 13-year-old that's had too much sugar.
Coffee, coffee, coffee.
Yes. Did you see the one um where he Peanut comes out of the suitcase and he's
Mhm.
trying to greet the people of the audience, but he forgot what city they're in? Have you seen that?
Yes. Yes. Oh
And
yeah.
he
And that
wrote it
happens more
down
than
and he
once.
reads it. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yes, it's so nice to be here
They're
in
in
Sa Na Ta
San
A Na."
Atana.
It's like, what is that? It's Santa Ana. No, I did not. Santa Ana.
No, it clearly says San Atana.
Oh my gosh.
And then they talk about how what the drive it was to get there. It was like
Yes.
hell. And then they're in the weather, it was like hell. So where are we? We're in hell. And
Yeah.
everybody in the audience just cheers. They think it's hysterical.
Yep. And that's why I like Peanut so much because I'm basically an overgrown, bald 13-year-old. So that's my kind of comedy.
Okay. All right. So if I was to put these guys in rankings, because I like them all too. I completely agree with you. It would be
Wait. Before we start ranking anybody.
oh no, I was going to rank the puppets.
Oh, got it.
Rank the puppets. It'd be Walter. Then it'd go to Peanut for sure. Let's see here. Let's go. It's hard with Ahmed and Bubba J because sometimes I'd go Bubba J simply because a lot of his stories are all too real for me. Because I have so much extended family that lives in Mississippi through my mother's side. I had cousins that married each other. I had a cousin whose name was Donnell, but when you spelled it out, it was Ornail. Doornail. He was number 6, I believe, in the family, and his mother was in the throes of labor. She's rushing out the door, and a nail in the door frame catches her shirt and nearly rips it right off of her. And she says, "Well, this kid's just as annoying as that door. You know what? Name him Darnell."
And they actually did it.
They actually named him Darnell. I actually had cousins who were named Lamangelo and Arangelo. Lemon Jello and Orange Jello.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've got some interesting stories on that side of the family. But anyways, so when it comes to Bubba J, his stories tend to hit home in some awkward ways. So
I can see that.
But it's so hard to even rank these guys. If I was to do my favorites, it would be Walter and then Peanut. But whoever I name last isn't the one who I don't like. It's the one that just falls the furthest down on the favorite ladder. And that would probably be Ahmed. But
okay.
That does not make him any less hysterical. Some of the stuff he's done, especially with that liner, "I kill you," is just so funny. And so with that said, I'll actually go ahead and retell that story I told Matt before we started, that Gabriel Iglesias went over to the Middle East, and he's in this car and he's being driven to the show, and the guy he's with said, "You're number 2." you number 2 comedian. And so Fluffy finally says, well, wait a minute, who's number 1? Jeff Dunham. And Fluffy says to him, whoa, you don't find this stuff at all offensive? And the guy looks at Fluffy and says, no, I kill you. And that just made Gabriel just bust a gut laughing. He thought it was so funny. But it's amazing of how even Ahmed has not only given us the therapy to be able to laugh about things that involved a lot of terrorist events, but even it seems to bridge a lot of people from the Middle East to this. And it's like, wow, okay, you know what? There's not a lot of bad people over in the Middle East. Not everyone's out to kill me. Right. And so that's one thing I enjoy about Jeff Dunham is just his ability to be able to go anywhere and everywhere. Oh, so did you see the episode, the special? Where was he? It wasn't Myanmar. It was Jeff? One of these Arabian.
Or Gabriel.
No, Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff. He's in this Arabian country, and he pulls Walter out of the box, and Walter's eyes shoot up. He goes, where are we? And even Peanut does it to some degree because everybody's wearing the traditional garb of the Arabian people and so on. And even Ahmed kind of goes, oh, my people.
Oh, man.
But then he did get to, I think it was Myanmar where he gets to, and the government says, okay, you cannot have Ahmed in the show. And so he decides, okay, so I can't have Ahmed in the show. There were actually special governmental police lining the walls of the theater. And he's terrified that he's going to get in trouble. Terrified. Because he's come up with a plan of how to get Ahmed into the show.
Oh, of course he has.
Let's interview Ahmed's French brother. Or Italian, one of the two. And it was hysterical. So they did up Ahmed to look like an Italian or a Frenchman. Oh. And he's got him talking in kind of a French accent. And then at one point during the bit, Jeff says, so Ahmed, and then Jeff's face just fell. Because he wasn't even allowed
to actually say
Ahmed, and he wasn't even allowed to say Ahmed. Even the government says you cannot use the name Ahmed. And he said it, and he fell, and he thought, I'm going to get rushed. The stage is going to get rushed, and I'm going to go to jail. It didn't happen. I never really found out exactly what his consequences were for even saying the name Ahmed, but he was just so scared.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious.
Isn't it? But it makes you think about the different ideas about comedy, because here's Jeff going into a closed country, and even Gabriel talks about going to the Philippines. And have you seen his bit on that?
I don't recall.
So he's like, it makes me nervous to go to Philippines with the people that I travel with, because if you take drugs into the Philippines, it's an automatic sentence. And so he starts talking about this video of what it would look like to come into the Philippines, and he's using this kind of older Korean woman's voice to explain how you're not supposed to bring in anything. And so, but so she's very pleasant, and then all of a sudden she'll switch to, "I stab you, I kick you, I'll stand over you and do gum style dance," or something like that. Just really beating him up. It's just like, oh, good grief. But he said it made him so nervous to go to the Philippines simply because his buddies that he usually goes with, such as Martin is known to carry marijuana with him.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I understand that. But, oh, me. Jeff, though, I remember his bit where he talked about going to South Africa. Did you hear that one?
I don't know that I did.
Oh no, so watching Jeff and even listening to him in interviews sometimes, it's fascinating to be able to hear him say, I can't get away with saying it, but the puppet can.
Oh. So
he starts talking about how a lot of the houses in the poor section of South Africa are made out of poop, specifically cow manure. And he lets Peanut go.
Oh no.
It wasn't exactly well, that's kind of an irony humor. It wasn't exactly filthy, but still,
it sure wasn't clean.
Right. But did you know that Jeff actually has a cartoon?
No.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's Ahmed and the characters in this cartoon show.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like at all kid friendly type cartoon or if it's like adult audience.
I have no idea. I've wanted to see it. I've never really gone looking for it, but I've wanted to see it. And I think it's actually entitled Ahmed.
Okay, and it's like all of the characters, all of the puppets.
Mm-hmm.
That motley crew.
Yeah, this is what it's called. Ahmed Saves America.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh wow! And there's actually it's streaming on a lot of things. Prime
Is
Video,
it?
Fubo, Tubi, Pluto, Freevee, whatever that is. But yeah, apparently it's streaming on there. I had no. And then there's also another one called The Adventures of Prince Ahmed. Oh, sorry, no, that's something from long ago. That's not even related to Jeff Dunham. But anyways, yeah, they're random information, folks.
Right.
So the synopsis is that from the inventive mind of Jeff Dunham comes the first animated it's a movie starring the world's most beloved failed bad guy, Ahmed the Dead Terrorist, the little skeleton that couldn't unexpectedly finds himself in Americaville, USA. There, Ahmed is mistaken as a French exchange student while he bumblingly plots to destroy the town and all its infidels. But when exposed to the sweet things in life, Ahmed's campaign of hate turns into a patriotic all-American love fest.
Oh, dear.
Oh, my word. Okay. I'm going to say this for the record. I'm not one for a lot of these modern American syndicated cartoon shows. I'm not big into The Simpsons.
Yeah.
King of the Hill, other these shows.
Family Guy.
What's
the other one with the round little kids? South Park.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. One of my brothers was a big South Park fan.
Oh.
So I got to hear some of that. But anyways, and some of it was kind of funny. Okay, so let's see here. Let me get this straight. Yeah, so Family Guy, that's done by Seth MacFarlane, right?
Yes.
There is one time that I've actually found Seth MacFarlane to be hysterically funny. And it's the Edward Norton Show.
Okay.
And it's the late night guy of England.
Oh, okay.
And Seth is sitting there on the couch, and Seth is like, every time I have Seth here, I kind of want to poke him with a stick and say, "Play, monkey, play." And so he gets Seth to do all of these impersonations, including doing the monologue that Liam Neeson has. I think the movie's called Taken. I've never seen it before, but he has it done in the voice of Kermit the Frog.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
It is. And so that's the one clip of Seth MacFarlane that I can really tolerate when it comes to his kind of humor, simply because it's just so funny, especially watching him in person switch between voices.
Oh, sure.
Such as the dad talking to the baby and so on, and how he came up with the voices and then the Cool Whip. I didn't know this was in the show. I don't watch it. But apparently it's one that makes everybody laugh, and it made me laugh hard. The baby in Family Guy says instead of just saying Cool Whip, he goes Cool Whip, Cool Whip, and it's just the way he says it is actually very, very funny. But anyways, I might just have to go ahead and sit down and watch Ahmed Saves America.
Yeah, let me know if it's worthwhile and if it's relatively clean.
Yeah.
I'll let you be the first run at it.
So, what's another comedian for you or comedic moment? Because I was going to say that one with Christy is funny. That's funny. Now that I know the background on the one with Christy, that's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think we can finish our conversation without bringing up Jim Gaffigan.
Pop-Tarts. Oh man, I have seen very little of Jim.
Oh, okay. I've seen I think two of his specials.
Okay.
I
And what do they
love
do for you?
what one of his shticks that he does frequently is he'll be talking in his voice, and then um he'll do a different voice as if he's in the mind of an audience member, and he's articulating what he thinks the
Oh,
audience would be thinking about him. And it's actually really funny. It's almost like he breaks the fourth wall, but
uh-huh.
it's not.
Right.
Um, because comedy is all about interacting with the audience and playing off of their reactions. But
Yes.
um,
Yes.
so I think it was his second or third special where he does that the first time, and he switches to that audience member voice. And then he
Hmm.
does like a second audience member voice complaining that he's doing the audience member voice. It's kind of an Inception type moment, but it's really funny.
That is funny. I'd have to check that one out. Do you mind if I tell a comedic event?
Go for it.
Okay. My wife and I are big into stage plays. We that's one of the things we really connected over when we were dating. And it was July 5th, 2009. And we were at a play. It was it was July 5th. Yeah, July 5th. We were at a play with some friends of ours at it's a parody theater in Salt Lake City Valley. So they do parodies of things. So what we were seeing was called James Blonde, not James Bond, James Blonde. And so it's the spoof stuff. And we're laughing, we're enjoying ourselves. Me and Heather at one very narrow table and kind of higher seats. And then a buddy, so we actually double date a lot with some very close friends of Heather at the time, and some people I was getting to know too. I was really enjoying hanging out with Nate. He was just a fun guy. And he and his wife are sitting at the next table right next to us.
Okay.
Okay. So I at one point, I mean, we're sitting so close that I'm able to just knock elbows with Nate. So at one point in the play, so they go to an intermission so they can start doing some scene changes, and this guy pops up over the mic. You couldn't see him anywhere, but all the house lights go out, and the spotlight comes on, and they put the spotlight on somebody, and next thing you know, the voice is saying, "I wonder what I'm going to have for breakfast in the morning," and then
Some
they move the
random
spotlight
audience
again.
member?
Yeah, no, it was just some guy in the sound booth, I'm guessing.
No, I mean they
But
put the spotlight.
yeah, on a person in the audience. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
fun.
kind of like what you're saying about Jim. And so they're going around the room. Is what am I going to wear tomorrow? What are they going to say in this interview? So on and so forth. And my then girlfriend wasn't aware of the fact that the spotlight was on her. And I heard the voice over the speaker say, "Is he going to kiss me tonight?"
Oh my gosh.
And I we had been dating for a few months at that time, and it is something that I had been thinking about. And that night in particularly, I was already thinking about it and even planning on it. And so the funny part is that during the play, Heather started rubbing her foot up and down my leg. And I elbow Nate and goes, "Dude, she's rubbing her foot up and down my leg." He goes, "Way to go, man." It's like, oh, grief. Give you a bit of a context. Nate and his wife Melissa are the kind of people who will sit there and tell you about the first time that they started farting in front of each other. And it was one time when she sat on his lap and farted.
Oh dear.
So that kicked off a whole
if she listens to this, I bet she's going to be thrilled that you just said that.
Well, kind of like Chris Hemsworth. I don't think she'll find the podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyways, she's rubbing her, and he's just going, "Dude, way to go." But later that night, after we went home, we're sitting there on the couch and we're just talking as usual. I leaned over and kissed her, And then I leaned back and we just resumed our talk. So that was the night I kissed my wife, July 5th, 2009.
That's so fun.
It was hysterical. But they did it with that. She had no clue that the spotlight was on her. Not a clue. I thought, oh, this is too good to be true. So, but the only one that I really remember from Jim Gaffigan was his Pop-Tart one. Or how did he say it? Pop-Tarts. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I like his bit where he's talking about going to the gym and asking the question, why are there mirrors all over the gym? And he does like this this big buff guy type voice. He goes, I like to look at myself while I work on myself. It's so funny.
Oh no.
And he talks about going into the gym and seeing these big ripped people. He's like, what are you doing here? You're done. And because he's going to try and get in shape and try and even motivate to pick something up and not just stand around and talk to people. It's really good.
Okay. So we can't have a conversation. I'm going to take a line from you. We can't have a conversation about comedy without bringing up John Pinette.
I don't know that I know that one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bridge it with a gym joke that he even has.
Okay.
And he's going to the gym. He's trying to lose weight. Now, FY, just for general information, John Pinette will even say this himself. He was fat. He was a very big man. And all of his stand-up included in some form or another food and his size.
Much like Fluffy.
Yeah, just like Fluffy. John Pinette even has himself at a water park, and he goes down this tall slide, and instead of just falling into the water, he skips across the water, and like Free Willy, lobs over the outside fence and into the parking lot.
Oh no!
So, but John, he's got this bit in one of the early parts of one of his stand-ups where he's talking about he's at the gym. And he's telling his trainer, I don't do ups. I do downs. I'll sit down. I'll lay down. I'll double down. You give me some music. I'll boogie down. But I don't do ups. But he's got this trainer. And his trainer saying, that's great that you're burning calories. This is good. You're burning them up. He goes, well, I hope it's a controlled burn. Because if not, there's going to be a mushroom cloud over this gym.
Oh, gosh.
And John, so one of the things I liked about John, especially some of the other comedians, is that while some of them can have some explicit language, they also have an album where they take that explicit language out. And that one I actually let my son listen to because he's always begging, Dad, can I please listen to John Pinette? And I say, okay, which one do you want to listen to? He says, I want to hear the bit where he's at the buffet. Okay. Because John tells a story about how he's in Las Vegas and he's at the MGM or the Grand, one of the two, and they have the Wizard of Oz buffet where he went and he even walked up to the buffet. The host says, are you a good witch or a bad witch? I want a sandwich. Get out of my way. But the one that makes my son so hysterical is that he'll be standing in line waiting to get to the food. And he says, it's skinny people. They're holding up the line going, oh, isn't that just such a pretty ice sculpture? Oh, isn't that meat look good? I wonder if I'm going to have that or that. And he's standing in the back of the line going, get out of the line. And then he says, and then he does a song where he takes, which song is it? It's one of the songs out of the Wizard of Oz, and he does different lyrics to it.
Okay.
And about skinny white men, skinny people being thrown over a rainbow.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Give me a moment. You got to be able to hear the story in its context because it's not funny.
I guess I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah. And then the other bit that Joel likes so much, because my son is just as much of a linguist as I am, And so my son's even learning Navajo right now. And yesterday he was telling us, okay, this is what mom is, this is what thank you is, and giving this full sentences too. It's like, wow, that's impressive. And shout out for Duolingo on that one. He's learning very well with Duolingo. But let's see here. He's oh, come on. I don't want to lose this one. John Panette, he's talking and he says, I can say, feed me, I'm hungry in 20 different languages.
Oh my gosh.
He sits down in an Italian restaurant and he says, feed me, I'm hungry in Italian. And the Italian guy goes, I can't remember the first one, obrigado or something like that. And affamato, that's what it is, affamato. And I can't remember the first word to that, but the guy just gets so exuberant, affamato. He says, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring out some cheese bread. We're going to bring out some ratatouille, and starts naming all of these foods. And then he says, and then we'll bring out the menu and we'll take your order.
Oh, gee.
So picture, if you will, Andre the Giant, but in John Panette form, sitting there consuming plates and plates full of food.
Gosh. That's so funny. Oh man.
Oh, it's
I'm gonna have to look some of these up.
He even was contacted by the producers of Hairspray on Broadway, and he was asked to join the cast.
Really?
Yeah. He had some significant vocal training, and so during the end of his stand-up bits, he would do songs as Elvis Presley or as the Chipmunks, especially the Chipmunks. That one was a go-to for him and his fans. But he got asked to be part of Hairspray, and he was I don't know the story. I've never seen it actually, but he talked about how he had to get dressed, pulling on the hose and everything. Oh, it was just so hysterical listening to him having to get dressed up as a woman. And he said, there's one thing, we've got this, how did he put it? We've got the technology for Kevlar. Why don't we have Kevlar tights or hose? Kevlar hoses, because he's going through how many pairs every show, trying to get them on his legs.
Oh my gosh. So I have one more personal story, and then maybe we wrap up our episode here.
This might be Comedians Part 1.
Yeah, it might be. It might be, just like how we haven't exhausted our book lists of favorite books. I'm not sure we ever will, but so Christy always knows when I start getting tired, because I get more chatty, but also I start quoting comedians. And
for the record, folks, I will attest to this.
Yeah, when you came down and visited us, you saw that. So I'd start quoting comedians or movies, funny movies. And so most of the time it's either I quote a stand-up comic or I start quoting Shrek in the ordinary dialogue that we're having. And she's like, all right, you need to go to bed. You're done now. And so kind of with that,
and Christy said that in front of me when I was down there. Just so you know, folks, Christy will do this even in public. You need to go to sleep.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, she loves to point it out. She loves, he's getting tired. So with that, I cannot wait. My son is currently 3. I cannot wait to see what he does when he starts getting really, really tired. When he's a little bit older. Oh, it's going to be hilarious.
And has he seen Shrek yet?
No, not yet.
Oh,
not yet. But I'm sure we're going to quote it back and forth to each other.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
Absolutely.
He has started sleep talking and doing different voices for different characters. And I used to do that when I was a little kid. I used to sleep talk. Oh yeah. I used to sleep talk and do stories. I used to have full-on conversations with people who were awake while I was asleep. But yeah, doing different voices. Danny loves doing different voices. He makes a new friend at church, and then he'll call them on the phone with his little play phone, and he'll do their voice on the other end and have a whole conversation. What's really fun for us as parents, speaking of comedic moments, is to take a video of him in the backseat in his car seat while he's on the phone with one of his friends, whether it's another kid or an adult, it doesn't matter. He's on the phone with this person. We take a video of it and send it to that person. And one of my friends, Jason, we did that this weekend because we left church and Danny's on the phone with Mr. Jason, and he sends us a video back of pretending to be on the phone with Danny. It was so funny. And he's talking about the most random things and butterflies and pizza. Oh, it was hysterical.
Oh, man. Oh, that's great. That's the sort of thing you put into a video journal for him, so he can watch it. Years later.
You put into a video journal and you embarrass him in front of his prom date someday. That's what I look forward to.
Yep.
Oh, you kids go have a good night. By the way, when Danny was young, he used to.
Yeah, that's when you pull out the naked baby pictures.
Oh no!
But in Danny's case, that's when you pull out the videos of him talking.
Yep.
Okay, you know what? I'll add one more.
Okay.
This is a personal comedy moment. I've told you this story before. I think it's hysterical. So, when my wife and I first got married, she discovered I talk in my sleep. And
of this story. I know exactly where this is going. This is one of my all-time favorite Josiah stories. I've used this as a sermon illustration before. I don't know if you know that.
You have not.
I have. Love you, buddy. All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to hear how that one went over. That's hysterical.
I think it was about the importance of knowing your scriptures, but go ahead. Tell our audience what it is. Okay. As soon as you collect yourself, go ahead.
I can do this. Okay. So I get married and she starts discovering, oh, he stalks in his sleep. Yay. But then she would wake up and hear me talking and not able to understand me. So one morning we wake up and she says, you scared me so bad last night. What were you saying? And I wake up and she plays me this thing. So she recorded me on her phone. So she starts playing this recording of, and I'll give a little bit of context to this. My wife is known to record me when I'm not completely lucid, especially when I've come out of surgeries.
Yep.
She will. I take forever to wake up from anesthesia.
I love those videos of teenagers that just got their wisdom teeth removed, like those types of things.
Yep. And there was after my shoulder surgery, she's sitting there with a video going, and she's getting me talking about all these different things.
Oh no!
And it's so funny. And then even on the drive home, she hands the video camera thingy to a buddy of mine who's sitting behind me, and he gets her and me talking in this loop. So I'd lean into the door, and then if she said the same thing, I would say the same thing, and it'd just be the same conversation over and over again. But so my wife is aware of the fact that if she gets me at the right time, I can be talkative and create a great comedic experience. But in this case, she was truly troubled because she's waking up going, he was nearly yelling in his sleep last night, and he wasn't even talking in English. So I listened to the recording, and it's me talking in Arapaho and Apache over a horse. Because back in the day, I used to study a lot of Native American languages and I know some others. But anyways, she's going, okay, so that's not as bad, but do you have to sound so mean? It's like, I didn't mean to. Elbow me next time. Wake me up. Well, next time comes, and she is even more freaked out than the previous time. So she grabs her phone, she hits record. She said she nearly woke me up that night, but the next morning we're eating breakfast. She goes, "Okay, you really scared me last night." I said, "Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. What happened?" She turns on the recording. And I'm being quite boisterous and kind of loud, and it does sound kind of mean and angry. But I said, "Honey, I'm sorry that sounds mean and angry, but that's me quoting Psalm 23 in Klingon." And she loses
in Klingon. I love it. Oh my goodness.
So I've asked her recently, do I still talk in my sleep? And she goes, yes. And there are times where you will sit straight up in bed and you'll have these conversations with me. She even recorded me. I have to take some medication every now and then, and it makes me kind of loopy. And she actually recorded me, and she's having a conversation with me. This happened just last week. And she played it for me the next day. I had no memory of it whatsoever. Sure. And it was so embarrassing. At one point, apparently, I'm holding up my hand kind of like this. And I kept saying to her, look, it's a speed square. It's a speed square. You see that? It's a speed square. Yeah, that's a speed square. And then at some point, I finally raised up my right hand. I go, ooh, look, a 5-in-1.
A 5-in-1.
And so for those of you with some construction knowledge, a 5-in-1 is a tool that actually has 5 different features on the tool that you can use in 5 different ways. But she's looking at all 5 of my fingers and just laughing out loud, going, oh, a 5-in-1. Yeah, that's great, honey.
Oh my God.
Even several months ago, I was on the same medication, and she had put me down for a nap because it kind of makes me loopy. And she heard me yelling from the bedroom, I can do math.
Oh.
And she comes in to quiet me down, and then I had immediately slipped into doing this. The hills are alive with the sound of
Oh my gosh.
That's my wife's experience with having to sleep and live with me. Because
no, I'm sure that just scratches the surface of your wife's experience having to sleep and live with you. I'm sure that is not exhaustive of her experience. I still say at some point when we're feeling especially brave or dim-witted, one of the two, we should be courageous enough to have our wives on the podcast with us.
I agree.
I think that would be hilarious and potentially embarrassing, but that's fine. So embarrassing because they'll tell all of our secrets, not because we're embarrassed of our wives, but they'll team up together and just start razzing it. They'll take over, but it might be worth it. That would be a hilarious podcast.
Maybe we'd be doing a topic of marriage, maybe, and we'll have them on it. That'd be good.
Oh man.
Oh me.
Well, with that, we would love to hear your funny stories or your favorite comedians or favorite comedic moments. You can even find clips on YouTube and send them to us. We are beardedbiblebrothers@gmail.com. Send us your favorite stuff, and we can potentially, if we do a part 2 of favorite comedic moments and comedians, we can include some of that in there from our listening audience. So God bless you. Laugh lots, love hard. We'll talk to you next time.